Hey, everybody, and welcome to Conscious Talk TV. We are providing information to bring awareness to humanity with our guest. And today we have Rick Jewers, and our topic today is what occurred to prompt the ascension, leading us up to the now. So with that, I want to say welcome, Rick, to the show. Hey, where'd you go, Rick? Welcome to the show.
Rita. No, thanks again, Linda. Always a pleasure to be here and, assisting with this ascension and getting out whatever we can that is, useful and helpful for each one's empowerment, and also to try to weed out some of the confusion that occurs during these times. So it's just always a pleasure to be a guest on your show. Thank you.
Thanks. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And we want to thank all the guests and people that are tuning in right now. And also want to let you know that right after this show, 8 o'clock, we're going to have another show, which is about the divine gifts, the prerequisites to your divine gifts and your abilities. So we just wanted to let you know that as well. So this is going to be about a 45-minute show, and then then you guys have the other link to tune into that. So welcome, everybody. Happy New Year, and Happy New Year, Rick, too. I forgot today's like the first day of the new year.
Yeah, thank you. What's been circulating around is I received from Nancy earlier today, Happy New You. And it was also comical here with inside of my camper. I went to my back area today, and I have on the wall, I have a what you would call it, a saying wrote that each day is a new adventure for you. I wrote it in the summer, but what has occurred, I had put up a barrier so I don't need to heat the back end. And so I was in the back end just today, and I glanced, and where I put up the barrier, it cuts that each day is a new adventure for you in half. And it says, what I can read from back there, it says, a new you. So it's comical and totally in sync with all the new
I love it.
Yeah, the divinity.
Sure is. Okay, well, so let's talk about this whole thing of the ascension. And we were just talking right before the show, like why is it occurring? Why we remain in the human bodies. So let's go from the beginning, maybe like what happened, and then you came into the picture and other angels and things like that.
Well, once upon a time.
True that.
To get back to the point of origin, we are all aspects of God, of the Godhead. We are all connected directly to God through energy, and we are, yes, a part of God. Way back in the beginning, to try to keep it simple, there were many of us that were split off from God, and we become sub-gods. Among those sub-gods, and what developed were the dark angels as well. And so there are many good angels, but there was that facet that wanted to create something a little bit different, and they kind of got strayed way off track. So what occurred, especially on these lower dimensional timelines where we embody a human vessel and have human experiences as per a soul contract, well, that kind of all got out of the way it was supposed to work because the dark were directly influencing everything here in the lower dimensions. Now, having said that, you do need to think of a linear time, which means, a time that you can look back and it has a history, and where you feel that you cannot jump back in time or go ahead. But also by looking at it in linear time, you also need to look at no time, where you can transcend all time when you step more into your multidimensional abilities and your divine ability, but more so your divine sovereignty of what you really are when you are back closest to your true form that you were when you branched off from God. And part of this ascension has taken many of you back to that. There are many different levels, also with your human experience on the way back there. Now, getting back to the point, it was allowed to occur on a linear time for, quite a time where the dark angels had control of these lower dimensions. Actually, it was the third dimension. And the darkness maintained control over that through fear, the fear aspect. They were the masters of it, the dark side of it. So what they would do with it was keep humanity on the surface, the human experience, in a state of suppression and fear as their mechanism of control. And there were many reasons why they did that. One of the main reasons, when they were separated from heaven, from the Godhead, and what I'm purveying to everyone is how I receive it from Father, what actually occurred. So this is more so the background of why this is even occurring now, the ascension. So, it was allowed to play out. Father and our main Godhead and us, we are omnipotent. But nevertheless, Father allowed the darkness to play out until 2012. In 2012, between November the 18th and November the 23rd, 3D was collapsed. Everyone was transported to a 4D timeline. And with that, they were oblivious to what actually occurred. But this was done in part to put them up into in the least, in an equal playing field against the dark, to eradicate the dark rule here. Because what had happened is that the dark had incarnated within human vessels as well. So you had the dark incarnated here in human vessels, maintaining control and fear. But then you also had the leagues of heaven, the angels incarnated here. So we were down on this sub level of 4D, let's say, branched off from what our true forms are to have this huge spiritual war. But actually, it began before 2012. And 2012 was actually the point where the light had won, where Father put his foot down and no more. And all of you angels were and are being awakened to higher degrees to rectify what we call the human playground. The playground where you come and you experience human experiences with emotion and all of these things intact. But prior, it had got out of hand because of the huge imprint darkness had made here, that souls that were allowed to incarnate back in the human experience, in their soul contract, they might have just wished to have an experience here, void of any huge trauma. But what you had was interference by the dark that was causing and inflicting trauma and trying to instill the fear energy upon ones. And the reason they did this is because darkness was cut off from the direct divine energy of the sun. The darkness had to energize and to feed them, to try to keep this simple. They would prey upon the angelic ones, and even just a human soul that was there, because the human souls, even if they were not fully in their angelics, they still were able to draw their energy from the sun that sustains their existence. And the darkness knew this. So what they had done is, if they could come in to an oblivious soul that didn't know what was going on and keep them in a state of fear, then they continuously fed off of that energy to try to, keep a simple analogy of what was transpiring here. And what would also happen with this is that, you know, you would have more souls coming down to have, an experience void of trauma. And all of a sudden they'd be down here and they'd be attacked and, to be fed off of, if you will, off their energy. And so when they left this plane, when they, what you think died, well, they go back and they say, like, hey, come on, that was not in my contract. Like, I wanted to go down here and enjoy, a reasonable experience with not too much trauma in it. And here's these dark guys interfering with, my soul contract. So it played out. It played out in linear time for a while, but in the now, it's less than a blink of an eye. It played out because when you can transcend all time, there is no time. Nevertheless, everything was answered to that respect. So the dark are quarantined to the 4D. Everyone was transported to a fourth dimensional level of frequency and energies. And this was also done to secure the darkness, to put them in a box, if you will, and to start administering the supreme divine prowess and the omnipotence of our entire presence here to clean this up for going forward. So what we are essentially doing, a lot will remain oblivious to what actually occurred here, because that is their human experience being secured, what they come down and to experience. So but us, we are allowed, anyone ascending, to know more of the truth, come back into your divine prowess, and we are going to keep going forward into the other dimensions as part of a reward, taking our physical vessels with us in whatever way our divine contract will say. Maybe you'll leave on a ship, maybe you'll disappear, maybe you'll leave a body behind, but you might leave a body behind, but you're actually somewhere else with another body, which, there's so many cool things. It depends on which one at a soul level, what they choose, how they ascend with it. But, getting back to, that's essentially what occurred. It was the dark rule, and we won in 2012. And not only that, while we are here, we are sub-creators, so we are creating new experiences in the 5D, new timelines with experiences in the 5D to enhance the human experience. And part of doing that is what we enjoy as sub-creators doing, is bringing back the mythological beliefs, the fantastic beliefs, the magical beliefs, and we're going to spice it up with these joyous things, because they are in line with, they are harmonious with what we are, absent of wars and fighting. Mythological gods and the Olympians, they spoke about great wars between them, but nevertheless, we can leave those aspects out of beliefs and venture in and enjoy the higher segments of those as we go forward. But I'm kind of jumping ahead on that. I'll stop, Linda. You must have a question.
Yes, I do. I actually want to go back to the Dark Angels. So I know that you said the original ones were cast out, right?
Yes.
Then what's left is, I know we had spoke about at one time, are the subs, and that's where there's still the fear and the programming, there's still the subs of them that are still left. I think that's important to let
And
people know, because if you're thinking of all the angels being gone, the ones that have brought in the darkness and the fear, then why are we still having the fear and the struggles and stuff?
thank you so much. You always have the perfect, pertinent question. And great. I'm so glad. Yeah.
Thanks to Father.
So what happened? The darkness was given a choice by Father, clean up your act. He's done that several times, but let's say on linear time, they did have the choice in 2011 to turn to the light, do what was right, or be just disassembled totally and uncreated to what they were.
Oh, you're freezing.
The was taken out in 2000. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're freezing up a little bit.
Okay, where did it cut out at, Linda, if you don't mind?
Well, in 2011, when they were being disassembled.
Yeah, okay. Two of the higher ones, it was Satan and Beelzebub. Those were two of the first to be disassembled entirely. And so they were condemned to non-existence. They were taken out of creation. There were other ones that, let's say, kind of fought, but they have been subdued. The information I get is they would not give up. They also were taken. Can you still hear me, Linda?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, when they would not give up, they had their choice they were disassembled also, the same as the leader. What has transpired is that, see, also a part of the Dark Angels plan, or no, not part of their plan, part of their ingenuity at the time was that they knew that what one would believe would stay into existence. So again, it empowered them further by keeping ones in fear and putting up into society's boogeymans, ghosts, monsters, and these sort of things, because they're all attached to the fear aspect. So, having said that, what they have imprinted through humanity was the fear spectrum of being afraid of things, and that it kept humanity in a suppressed state of fear with that as well. Mm-hmm. So that's more so how they controlled. But Linda, I got kind of off track. Could you repeat what you were asking there again?
The question was all about the Dark Angels, the subs, because the main ones were disassembled, but why are we still having all the fear? Because of the sub ones that were programmed. I guess mind control. I'm not really sure, but what I'm assuming.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. More or less, there is none of the darkness that is left with any amount of strength. The only darkness that is here is contained to the 4D, and that is there for a sort of a game for human experiences. Again, it's allowed to remain there, but not to the extent that it was. So more or less, this is why I say the dark is quarantined to those 4D levels. However, there is a 4D level that the angels are presently working on, each one of us, that we are transitioning into a 5D level absent of the darkness and the negativity to great extents. Again, as I said, what they have done through the imprint within the human thought process, what they had done is they had imprinted fear. And they did this because they knew also that there were certain human ones that did come here with their manifestation and their creation abilities intact. So if they could come in from the side and brainwash them to use their manifestation and creation abilities to create demons, then the actual demons themselves could keep it alive through the thought process, because essentially, if you believe demons do not exist, you eradicate them from your thoughts and from your space because you are a creator. But if you believe they exist, then you empower them with your very own energy, and the dark ones don't need to do anything. So this is also why it's so important to you have to change your mentality and your thought process while in the human form here too, which is part and parcel why we are angelic in the human form, to transition this out and to create higher timelines going forward for the human experiences at the soul level.
Perfect, because that you answered sort of I guess really the question Lazina had: are they referred to as demons? So you pretty much answered that question. If one thinks that they are, then they are.
Yeah, it's darkness. I use different labels. Darkness, negativity. Sometimes I'll use the term interchangeable because that's what it is. A darkness has a negative polarity as well. So, yeah.
So let's talk about why you incarnated here, because since you are really assisting the planet with the planetary ascension, because that really is part of why you really came into being, or being into awakening.
Well, I, like all the other of your viewers, we have been awakened, and we are all family, like Sister Sledge, perhaps. We are family because we are, and in the divine level, and we're strategically placed all around Gaia to assure and ascertain this ascension and the cleanup of these timelines. What was your question again? I get rambling.
That's okay. Why were you incarnated here? Because you're playing a big role here.
Well, let's put it this way. When I ask Father that question, he looks at me and he says, "Rick, you were bored up here. You wanted to get down into the show like all the rest." So, but essentially, we all incarnated here for a very important reason, and there are many reasons, but the most important is to secure the human playgrounds, to undo what the darkness has done here with societies, and to undo the suppression and the enslavement of the human experience here. We are beyond that. It no longer serves any, and we do raise it up. But there are multiple timelines. Anyone watching this, any of your viewers, and anyone ascending, you keep ascending up to higher timelines above where we have rectified things. Let's say we straighten things out on the lower timelines. They are to go more perfect to where they are supposed to go, the lower 5D timelines, but we do not stop there. We also create other branches of timelines off of these lower 5D timelines for others that will ascend in waves later. They attach to another tributary from the lower echelons of the 5D timelines, and they began to ascend in their own time and into their own levels that is within their soul contract. So we have a wide array where some are staying here on the 5D timelines for maybe another 10 years, where others could be going in a few seconds from now. So there is no real set full bang on rapture. It's an ongoing rapture on an individual basis as well. But having said that, the angelics, the part of the rapture from these timelines up, is more so a union because we are all going together up to the other, let's say it could even be the lower 6D timelines. Then we split off and go wherever we wish to go, if we're not going straight back to the Godhead at this time. So it's a wild and a magical ride once our mission is done. Our mission is to secure the lower timelines, which is essentially already done. But yet we are still here doing cleanup and eradicating some of the negativity and the darkness that is associated with the beliefs. So angels will be quickly see a darkness or negativity. It is a real thing. It takes up space. It is a real energy. So part of the divine work is eradicating, let's say, alleviating that in the least, because it's what's responsible for someone that is oblivious. It's responsible for the negative actions and the reactions, and really preposterous and absurd reactions like road rage, if you will.
Yeah.
So, we don't need these things. They don't serve, they create chaos. And so, just to give you an example, so there's a wide array of many responsible energies that cause the negativity. So, part of our job is to take those out as well and allow, let's say, some of those human souls to rise to another level. So it's quite a thing. It's just not being on this timeline and jumping here. There are many little timelines in between, and there are transitory stages of that as well. And you don't go from here up to here. You keep fluctuating back and forth. And for the stronger angels, when you dip down into 4D, it's density. You're going to feel that, but you're there to do part of your mission in your divine work. So it's best don't get down there and say, "Oh, I'm having a bad hair day." You get down there, you say, "Okay, what do I need to correct here, and how can I assist with it?" So that is what's coming. As you get stronger, when you dip down here, you're going to be dipping down with immense power, which requires great discipline and respect. And this is what we will be sharing in the future here about the divine gifts and how to utilize and apply them in your divine tasking in the near futures.
So how are we to undo that? Because you had mentioned that the angels are securing that and undoing that. How is that just by us staying in the positive? Is that how we're doing? I mean, is there a physical thing that's being done, or just prayer, thought?
Actually, it's all of them. It's a conglomeration of everything that you know and that you feel is good to do. All of the good things empower you. And thank you for bringing this up. We have to add the importance of virtue into our next show on that list I have prepared. Okay. Please remind me. We need to put virtue in there. That is so important, because virtue is an energy, and it's a pure energy that needs to be integrated as well with that. Sorry, now can you repeat your question again?
Yes. minute. Wow, that was crazy. Okay. Are you there?
Yeah, you
Okay.
hear?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. Through all of the above and more that you stated, it's so important again for everyone to follow what resonates, and to follow their inner guidance. But what we're leading into is for some of the more advanced ones that are ready for it. We will be showing you how to transcend time and space here to kick in your multidimensional abilities. And I will share that I did share with one several days ago for her to begin, she was ready to begin more of these, to access more of her higher abilities. And let me just say that she's having great success with that. And I'll just keep it limited. So she did not have any doubt, but I believe she's very impressed and ecstatic with her success, magical success she's having with it. So it is very real and very true.
Yeah. So do you feel like that with the negative energy, like how um, are we pretty well, can you get a sense of how clear we are with that, of securing that, like where we're really at with that?
Well, what we have is I am a teacher, but I'm a teacher for all levels. So to really gauge that, Linda, what I have and what I see and those I assist, they're at all different levels of it. What I do recognize is uh, the increasing numbers of the ones that are ready to step more into their higher divine prowess with that. And also, as they do it, they will very quickly reach down and bring others up to these levels as well. So it actually happens at an exponential rate. Um, again, the one of the old adages, you teach you teach one to fish in a village, and they can
Oh yeah,
feed the whole village, some
yeah,
sort of way.
yes.
And this is the way. So if you teach a teacher to teach, and then they're making more teachers, hey, we're all going to be teachers here at one point, and we don't need to teach anymore. We can have fun, right? So it's
Yeah.
a, but there is that mission to it, and it is. We are here for a reason. We are here for a very important purpose and a mission, and part of our rewards for that is taking the physical vessel into other dimensions and other experiences that you would perhaps only dream of when you were human. So these are the rewards as well for those of you that are going into it. When our tasking is done, we are very like your photo you shared at the other day. God telling you close that hand, and that was just such a beautiful confirmation. So
Yeah.
don't ask me for a time, other than I know it's very, very close because of everything that has been transpiring. And when I began to see angels doing their magical gifts, I know we're not too far away. And it's just so beautiful, incredible. So, this is the thing. Yeah, we have a purpose to fulfill here. You are indeed here for a very important reason, and it's your divine purpose for whatever resonates with you to assist in this whole ascension and alleviating the way society was out there, and to rectify all these things, to bring down the injustices, to bring down the suppression, and yeah, even bring down the monetary systems the way they were, because part of this ascension is to evolve humanity out of the use of money. Not only out of the use of money, out of the use of fossil fuels and all the primitive technology, and also out of the savagery that was created by the dark hair. We no one needs to live even at this time in a state of fear. It's you know, it's been concocted by the dark from the way they set up their societies in their feudal systems with different tiers and ranks of kings and queens, when in actuality every human is a king and a queen. No one is better. It's only the only time someone is better than them is if they give their consent away to it and allow them to be suppressed and ruled. But at the end of the day, Linda, no one, no human even needs to be suppressed that way any longer here. It's absolutely ridiculous in the past. But, you know, again, if we go right into the politics, which I don't want to go, everything is setting up to eradicate the way things were, especially the enslavement as well and the whole money thing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that kind of goes into sovereignty, taking back our sovereignty.
Yeah, indeed. And that's a temporary thing for us, you know, to become the peers in doing that also, and, you know, showing the rest of humanity that are on the lower timelines, you know, to do this, to take it back. This is how you affect change. If you don't, what you're, you know, you give them the flip side. Okay, do you want your children to be born, start going to school at 3 years old, remaining in school, you know, the best years of their lives until they're eight, well, no, let's say 20 some, because then they go to universities and, you know, all for to be put into a workforce of enslavement, you know? So yeah, what do you want for your children? Do you want that? And to work, you're told, you know, you can work and retire, save your money, but you know, it what happens, so you put your money into stock markets and things, but it's all manipulated and controlled by the darkness that they reap the cream of the crop to keep you suppressed and in an endless cycle of, you know, going to work. And recently, look in the U.S. Specifically, where many, you know, were supposed to be able to retire with good pensions, and here they are. And in Canada as well, you know, they had to go back to work. So here you have seniors that were promised, you know, by governments and had plans laid out before, you know, that no, you know, you'll be able to retire at 45. You got a good life ahead of you and you'll have all kinds of money. But yet the same governments were in collusion to rob them of all their earnings and keep them suppressed. So it's ridiculous. So many are seeing that and they don't want that for their children on, you know, at least on these lower timelines as well. So I kind of got into a 4D perspective with that. But again, I jumped down there to show the mentality and the nonsensical way that it was.
Yeah. Well, and I think when we start being the example of what that looks like as angels, which we are, right? I think when we start being the example, people start to see that and want to, they want to have that, right?
Yeah, and you know, indeed, also it's so important to spread the awareness, spread the documentation, spread the evidence of the corrupt systems, you know, to the masses, to the public, and say, come on, think, stop. You only got to stop for about 5 minutes and think, and, you know, anyone will clue in, yeah, you know, we don't need this. And it is savage. And, you know, you could even go as far as organizing, if you had to, as an ace in your back pocket, a worldwide strike. I mean, you got if everyone stopped working, for a week or a couple weeks, whatever it took, everything is going to collapse. The governments and all of this because they lose their power, and really the power is in the hands of the people. So they have so many tools at their disposal, and especially the internets and things. Nothing can really be shut down. And again, this ascension is imminent, and it's ascertained, and it does keep going forward. And this is why you're seeing all of these amazing, incredible things against all odds, and that are occurring, especially on the minimum. Look at the sealed indictments again. I always point to that because it is so significant. And Trump's attempts at ridding the Fed and the IRS, which all these got to go because it's all part of the dark regime that it's crumbling, is what's happening. And the Vatican, I got to add that in because those were bad guys, and they've been taken out and pretty well demolished as well. So we just going forward and breaking down them walls and feeding back to the public. Here's your proof. Here's your pedophile rings. Here's your corrupt governments. Here's what they've been doing to you.
Yeah. Well, one last question, because I know we're going to go into the next show in about 15 minutes, so it'll be another link. But why now? Why couldn't we have done this? I mean, I know 2012 they were, disassembled the Dark Angels and stuff, but why the ascension now? Well, I won't answer that question. So why is it now? Why couldn't it have been 2 years ago?
And that is an excellent question. It's what I'm given with that is that it was to be a process, a transitory process. Also secure several timelines. So if you had it rate abrupt, there would be fluctuations in maintaining certain timelines that ran on certain frequencies. Also, because we are here in the angelics, you vibrate at a certain frequency that keeps these realities intact as well. So if it happened abruptly, you would have had a lot more chaos and turmoil during that. So it's a transitory process, but it also expedites as we keep going forward, because there is that exponential component to it. The more lights that are lit up, the quicker the change is reflected. And there's also that component with raising, let's say, the rest of the masses where they don't need to be awakened, and placing them into another timeline. So again, it's a full joint effort by the angelics, and it was a process, and there are levels to it. And so we have now secured at the lowest the human experiences, those dimensional timelines, if you will. And we are now at a stage where we are going to apply greater benefits by eradicating the negativity and the darkness out of these lower timelines. And so again, why now? As I said, what I was given by Father, he put his foot down in 2012. So, enough was enough. And then began awakening the angels, if you wish to look at it that way, and also empowering the angels to accomplish the divine work here. And also as part of our angelic experience. And, as I alluded to earlier in the show, well, I wanted to go back up where Dad was at. I said, I'm tired of being there. This is taking so long and ridiculous. And he said, no, he said, you were bored when you're up here. You wanted to go down there. So here we are. So we all decided to be here at the most auspicious time, and yeah, it gets better in every moment, and especially, lately, so many are experiencing more of the divine miracles and magic.
Yeah. Yeah. Which kind of really that leads into our next show, which is about the divine gifts, because that's really where, since we're here and we're in the now and doing this ascension, the angels that are ready to get their divine gifts. So yeah, that concludes the show. That was awesome. Great
Wow,
information.
thank you. We
Yeah.
tried to jam everything in, but again, there's probably so much that was left out, but at least everyone perhaps got an inkling of what's going on while we're here and what all
Yeah.
started it. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for this show, Linda, and all of the viewers.
Yeah.
And I love all of you. And go with what resonates with you. I give the perspective what Father gives me, but you may have other perspectives, and that is what is for you as well. So, observe others neutrally. If it resonates, then, perhaps that's your heart telling you that it's true. If it doesn't, then, perhaps it's not for you at this time, but you may come back later. So everything is perfect
Yeah.
with it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Rick, so much. Greatly appreciated. And I'll talk. And thanks for everybody that showed up today and was listening. Sorry we didn't get to any questions if you had any. We greatly appreciate you tuning in. And don't forget to tune in to the next show in about 15 minutes because that's going to be about the divine gifts. So, all right. We'll see you all later. Love you guys. Thanks, Rick.
You're welcome.
All
Thank
right.
you all. Love you all. See you soon.
Sounds good. Love you
Bye.
guys. Bye.
Love and light.